Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Ashes to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. Bordy!
Yo!
Dude.
What's up, man?
Ashes of Creation. First ever episode of the podcast, man. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm great, man. I'm doing well. I'm ready to record this bad boy. It's been a long time coming, man. I'm excited about Ashes, and I'm glad to finally be in this director, man. It's gonna be good stuff.
Yeah, there's so much hype around this game right now. We had planned on covering the game, but the more and more information keeps coming out, so we're like, we got to get on this. So this is it, man. We're on it. This is the first ever episode, and we're happy to be with you guys tonight. We have quite a bit to talk about. Obviously, we can't tell you everything about the game because there's so much information out there, so we're breaking this down. So with the first episode, we thought we'd start with the basics when it comes to the node system and the races that you can play with inside of Ashes of Creation. So we're going to talk about those two things with you guys tonight. We're going to open with a little bit of news as well about the new Boons of the Waveborn package that they put out on the store just last week. And we're also going to kind of address why we're here, why we're covering Ashes, why we're interested in the MMO genre, and we're going to be a little bit brief about that at the beginning. But Bordy, so me and you are avid MMO players. We both have a long history. We kind of grew up in this genre. And so why Ashes of Creation for you?
Man, Ashes of Creation just looks like it's going to be a good time, man. It seems like Steven is on top of his game with this one, and it seems like all of the systems and everything that he's implementing into this game look amazing. I was a huge Ultima Online player back in the day, and there's kind of some remnants of that going on with this game a little bit with the corruption system and things of that nature. So I'm excited for this game, man. I've been itching for an MMO, a new MMO, for a long time, and I'm ready to just sink my teeth in and dive headfirst into an MMO that I can play for years to come, man. I haven't had that experience since Ultima Online, and I've been wanting it since then. And Ashes looks like it could fulfill that. There's the systems in this game, the way the game's laid out, all the races, the options, everything that happens in this game. It looks very, very promising. So I'm excited for it, man.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Ashes of Creation that's pretty unique about any of the recent developments in the MMO genre. Obviously, Steven's like a wild card or whatever you want to call it. Kind of like the guy is on point, man. He's an MMO fan. It's very obvious that he's played a ton of MMOs. He's easy to relate to if you've done the same. You mentioned your influences from Ultima Online. I'm an EverQuest guy. I grew up playing EverQuest and then into WoW. I played a little bit of Lineage too. All of these things that he speaks on, it comes from the heart because you can tell as, when someone's kind of, blowing smoke or whatever when it comes to these things. The guy knows a lot what he's talking about. It's awesome to see him at the helm, and now that he's done all these interviews with all these big creators, man, it's easy to see his passion about the game, and that's easy to get hyped about. And me and you, we both cover MMOs in many different forms. We have a website or a string of websites called Studio Loot that cover different MMOs, as well as we're avid podcasters, avid YouTubers, Twitch streamers. So we need something like this, man. We've been looking for something like this for a long time since me and you have met. And Ashes of Creation seems to be ringing the bell, man, pulling us in. So we're happy to be with you guys today, and we're going to talk now about some Ashes of Creation. So, if you guys are unfamiliar with the way that Ashes of Creation is currently kind of opening, the doors to people that are going to be interested in testing and everything, they have packages, and they update these packages. It seems to be about once a month. They kind of got a little bit off schedule with the whole COVID thing, which is understandable. But the recent package that they put out, Bordy, with all of the appearance items and things that you'll receive in the game is called the Boons of the Waveborn. So, if you guys can look at this package on ashesofcreation.com, they tend to have different scales or different levels of support that some of them get you into beta 2, some of them get you into beta 1, some of them get you into alpha 2. And so then each of those packages have a different amount of these appearance items. So, Bordy, have you had a chance to look these over? Any of these? I see you as maybe like a little bit of an islander occasionally. What do you think about these appearance items and these these packages that are kind of enticing people to pre-order the game.
Yeah, I think they're dope, man. I think that I kind of missed out on one that I wanted. It was kind of the evil looking one. I don't remember what it was called, but that one happened a few months ago, so I kind of missed out on that one. But in terms of like Boons of the Waveborn, you wanted to talk about like what we think about this one in particular, or
yeah. What are your thoughts on this package?
Yeah, so this package right here, man, it's kind of cool, I guess. The Snell horse, they call it. What do they call this thing, man? The Wisp Whelk, I think, is what they're calling this thing. That's the thing that sticks out the most to me. It's like this fluorescent blue horse that's mixed with a snail. It's absolutely insane looking, and I think it'd be kind of funny to run around on that thing. Then you have the big toad thing for the caravan, and then there's a couple of cosmetic items in there that look really Islander. Is that a word? Islander? You're rubbing off on me, Red. Islander? I don't know if it's a word or not. But
dude, there's a hocky team called that. Right?
Yeah, but just because it's a hockey team doesn't mean that's an actual word. It's gotta be a word. No, dude.
Okay.
I don't. Maybe whatever. Yeah, but there's like the little hut thing too. It's cool, man. I can dig it. This package isn't that bad. Not my favorite out of all the ones they've released, but it's pretty decent, man.
Listen, Bordy. Okay. First off, if you guys are listeners to our other podcasts, Bordy, you need to stay in your lane. Okay. I'm the one that's bad at English. You're good at English. And if I say Islander and Islander is actually a word, you can't correct me on it, man. It's a word.
But, okay. Listen, man, you're right. All right. You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. On air. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you. Officially, I accept.
Okay.
But yeah, this package looks pretty cool, man. I'm not going to lie. That Snell mount with legs, I kind of want it. You know what I mean? It's insane, it's weird enough that it's like, dude, I got to have that thing. So
is it walking in water, or is that like the sludge off of the snail that we're seeing there in that picture? Like, what is that? Like, does it give like a I think it's water, because the toad up there too has water with the caravan. But wouldn't it be dope if the snail left like a sludge trail while it walked? That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. I didn't think about that. I'm glad you pointed that out. That would be dope. The frog and the carriage is also pretty cool. I'm not gonna describe the toad with my first word of choice, so I'm just going to say it's got lots of points on it. I guess there's
okay.
there that is a real like proper named toad, so we can say like horny toad, right? It's a horny toad.
You just did, so I guess we can. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, you're right. That is the name of a
toad with horns. Yeah, I mean, all this stuff is pretty cool. And if you look, I did a lot of extensive like looking back at the other packages, because I'm always like, when am I going to pull the trigger on this and order? And I'm kind of waiting for like the perfect package, like for stuff that appeals to me, the appearance items. But man, they all look really cool and they're all unique. So, any of these would be cool, if you're like one of the few people that do get these things to ride around on in game and show off in game. I think they're cool. And one of the things I like about Ashes of Creation is that they provide enough value in the package as well. So they're not just selling me a mount and then increasing, the amount that it's going to take to gain access to an earlier stage of development. They're actually going to give us like, subscription time and then in-game current, or not in-game currency, but shop currency when the game launches.
Yeah, I like that too, man, which is pretty dope. I mean, it's going to be, have they said it's going to be, is it $14.99 a month? Is that what it's going to be? The subscription value? Or have they announced that?
I don't know if they've announced the actual amount, but I think that's reasonable to they have mentioned that obviously the game's not going to cost any money, but yeah, $14.99 seems to be the going rate for the monthly thing, which I like, man. I've always said that if you're going to provide continuous, content for players, then I'm willing to pay a sub, as long as it's, obviously quality content and not just, I don't want to throw shade on other games, but like, not just like, hey, you don't have to worry about like managing your inventory as much or something like that. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think that the subscription-based model is fine, man. I would prefer that actually, just because I'm an old school MMO player that used to pay subscriptions all the time for my MMOs. So I think that's fine, but I think you're spot on, man. They've added a lot of value whenever. So you buy one of these packages. These packages are quite expensive, but whenever you buy one, Like the one I'm looking at right here is the Voyager pre-order pack for this particular pack that we're looking at, which is, what is this one called? I forget. The Boon of the Waveborn.
Yeah.
And it gives you 6 months of in-game time. So I can't, and forgive me, I can't recall if it was $14.99 or what. I don't know if they've announced that or not. I haven't seen that anywhere, so I could be.
A bunch of people in chat are saying it's correct.
Okay, okay, that's what I thought. So $14.99, 6 months of in-game time at $14.99. I mean, I don't know what that math is off the top of my head, but it's going to be a pretty good value. And then you get $100 in embers with that. So yeah, you're spot on, man. It's pretty dope. You get all these in-game items plus added value with your game time. So I like that as well.
Yeah, and you guys should go check it out for yourself. There are tons of cool looking things that the art team's on point for this game for sure. They've got a lot of cool appearance items, even when they do the live streams and show the things in game. It's got a very pleasing aesthetic to it. Everything does, and this is no exception, or these items are no exception to that.
Great imagination.
Yee. Okay, so moving on. We're gonna try to talk about a little bit about where the game is currently. I think a lot of you guys are aware, that kind of follow the game, but it seems like they're getting ready to push into a Alpha 1 state. So the beginning of the game, right now, they're kind of they've talked a lot about what that's going to look like in the upcoming months and how the game will initially be under NDA under an Alpha 1 state as they do testing and ramp things up to make sure that they can provide a decent client for those that are testing for them. And then they will move into a state that is not under NDA, but it will still be under the Alpha 1, title, so to say. So right now, and this is important to note for everybody, because I know a lot of people are going out there looking into the game, looking what's the earliest I can get in if I buy in now. Right now on the store, the package that you can buy, or the highest package you can buy, will get you into Alpha 2. Now, they haven't said that when Alpha 2 is going to come out yet. They've specifically mentioned some more information about Alpha 1, but they have mentioned that once they can provide a client that's stable enough to provide room for all of their Alpha 1 backers that they currently have, then they'll look into possibly opening that up for more people to purchase into the Alpha 1 event. So I know me and you had definitely are interested in that, obviously, as content creators. Without an NDA, that's huge. But yeah, Bordy, what are your thoughts on how fast this game is progressing? Because I don't think you or I or a lot of people realized how close they were to getting to this state.
Yeah, I thought we were a long way away from this state, and now recently all this news has came out, and it's like, man, they are a lot closer than we had initially thought. So I'm excited, man, and it's making me want to buy a package. So I might pull the trigger pretty soon. I just don't know what I'm going to get yet, and I kind of want to wait and see if they're going to put another one out there for Alpha 1 or not. But that's also a rather expensive package, man. I think the last one they had was $500 for Alpha 1. But again, you get I think the previous one they had was like lifetime subscription or something, which when you think about that's if you're going to play this game for, a couple years or more, which I hope to do, it's honestly not that bad, really. It's an upfront investment and you don't have to pay the monthly fee forever. So
actually a really good deal if it's in a lifetime because you look at, once an MMO maintains a steady player base, they tend to provide, whether it's a niche clientele or whether the player base is larger, they provide ongoing content. That community hangs around for a long time. I mean, look at like Final Fantasy 14 and WoW and even ESO and all those games. There's a very steady player base that come back every time there's new content involved. So, having a lifelong subscription on top of all the cosmetic stuff and the store credit that they provide. I mean, if you're invested in the game and you believe it's going to come out, it's very much worth the money. And they're making a good point in chat. Death Vice says that you can upgrade, and that's exactly, even now, if you order into the Alpha 2 stage, they will give you the opportunity to upgrade. You will not have to completely purchase the Alpha 1 package again.
Yeah, which is nice. So I may go if a package releases that has some amazing looking cosmetics in there, and I may be kicking myself for not getting this Boons of the Waveborn one, because this freaking Snell horse is, dude, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna gloat it over you, dude. I'm gonna be riding my Snell horse anytime that me and you are playing together. I'm gonna ride that thing.
Are you getting this one? You're getting this package?
I mean, it's hard not. I don't know, man. I don't want to miss out. That's my concern right now. It's like I don't want them to say like, oh, now we're not doing Alpha 2 stuff. You know?
Yeah,
I mean?
I know. That would suck, dude. Yeah, that would suck for sure. I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, that's a good point, though. Maybe we should just go ahead and get Boon's the Waveborn.
Yeah, and then we can be Snell brothers. You know, we can leave slime trails everywhere.
Okay.
We're gonna get a message saying that there are no slime trails, and you need to retract your statements about that, and it's gonna be a mess. All right. So let's get into the game, man. Let's get into the content. We're gonna steadily show you guys or go over this content with you as we progress through. This is gonna be a weekly podcast, by the way. I don't think we said that at the top of the show. So as of right now, there's tons of content out there, so we're gonna cover it. We're gonna keep pushing forward, and by the time we're through it, we'll probably have Alpha 1, and we'll have tons of stuff to bring you guys. So. We are going to start with the node system specifically and races tonight. We're not going to do a complete in-depth guide. I think there's a lot of information that's still yet to be known about these things, but we are going to briefly go over these things and kind of give you an introduction to these two topics. So, Bordy, the node system is pretty interesting, man. Me and you both have looked quite a bit into this, and with all the live streams and everything that Steven's done recently, he's got a lot of cool insight into this node system. So, Bordy, I'll let you lead the way here. Tell us about the node system in Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, man. So I think one of the reasons we wanted to talk about the node system specifically is because it's one of the major aspects of this game. Without the node system, this game is not what Ashes of Creation is. It's like it's one of the major mechanics of the game, and it drives almost everything else. So dude, it's so unique and so awesome, and it gets me really excited talking about this thing. So nodes are predefined locations on the map, and there's well over 100 nodes within the map. And so basically there is a specific point that players can build up, and then around that point there's what's called the node, the area of influence. So when players are in the node or in that area of influence, as they gain experience for their character, they're also gaining experience for that node. And as that node levels up, it changes into to towns, and then eventually a big thriving metropolis, which is dope, which has everlasting effects on the server, which is really, really cool. So there's 4 different types of nodes: the divine node, economic node, military node, and scientific node. And what's cool about these is that you get benefits from each node type. So like economic node within Ashes of Creation, the economy is supposed to be local within each area, but whenever you have an economic node on your server, that then opens up the trading power. Like if it opens up the trading power, so it's not just for that one local node, which I think is really cool. And like military nodes enables things like bounty hunter, and then like reduce corruption. The corruption system is kind of like a karma system back in Ultima Online. If you kill somebody out in the wild, you get negative corruption, and then you can eventually become lootable, which is cool. I don't think we want to go into too much of that in this episode. I'm sure we'll talk about that in later episodes. But then like the scientific node is like fast travel. You get an option to fast travel whenever you have one of those. And these have to be built up into metropolises, I think, before you get those powers, right? And I think that's the 6th stage of the node system. So the divine node, I don't think I listed that one yet. I don't know that there's a lot known about the divine node yet in terms of benefits, but that's kind of the node system in a nutshell. Red, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think one of the interesting things, and you know, we're going to throw a lot of different names around with MMOs. We played a ton of them, and kind of it helps, I think, people understand that have played the games, what they're going to be like. They've mentioned a lot of the times with this node system and how each node will have like a resource that's kind of limited or rare, that's like unique to that particular node, and the trade routes and everything like that between the nodes. That's kind of where you gain value. If you transport maybe fish from one node across the map to a different node, you'll be able to sell those at a more beneficial rate, and that obviously creates some sort of interest in PvP as well as you're doing those caravans. So stuff like that's like, it reminds me of Black Desert Online, how you'd fish on one coast and then take it across the map and sell it for 2 or 3 times the value. That's awesome to me. The economic system that they have put in place, or they tend to or seem to lean to, is really exciting to me. Any way that kind of increases the ways that you can play the game, in my mind, is exactly what you want to be doing in an MMO, because you want to attract a massive amount of people. So, not everybody enjoys the same things, and to reach out or expand your influence in those different player bases, I think is awesome. Bordy, do you want to go into detail on any of these nodes or anything? I know you said the divine node there isn't a lot known about that, but do you want to talk about maybe any of the other 3 nodes about what these will look like as far as your my favorite one is the military node and how you become the mayor of a military node.
Yeah, each of them, dude, that's what's so freaking cool about these nodes, man, is like you also have a government within each node, right? So let's back up a little bit and let's talk about the node itself and how you build that up. So over time, the node gets built up, and as more players like gravitate towards that node, it gets built up through stages, and there's 6 stages of how it gets built up through like a village stage, and then all the way up to the metropolis stage is the last stage. So the metropolis stage, there can only be 5 metropolises across the server, right? So within each metropolis, there's like a government within there that kind of owns these. Doesn't really own the nodes, but makes the decisions about the nodes. And so like a military node, in order to be a part of the government, you have to like fight your way up to be a part of the government, which is pretty freaking cool, I think. Yeah. The economic node is all about having money and it's all about political aspects and driving your way up to be powerful in the government there. And then the other one here is what was the other one? The scientific node. That's right. The scientific node, man. How do you work your way up into government in the scientific node, Red? I don't freaking remember that one. I know that you get fast travel with the scientific node, which is freaking amazing, but I don't remember how you work your way up into government.
I want to say there's some voting involved with the scientific nodes. Yeah.
I think so. I think you're exactly right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, these systems are really cool. And I like the idea because there are like, you mentioned a lot of nodes across these maps, and that only 5 of them can progress to the max level.
Yeah, it's dope.
So that's going to cause a lot of conflict, a lot of war, and that's exactly what you want to see in this type of game. That conflict and those stories that you have when you're warring with different factions and different guilds. Those are what people remember.
All right, yeah. So nodes are also pretty unique because they create different events as you level up your nodes, right? So whenever you first start, there may not be any special mobs in the area, but as you level up the node, it's going to be contested by some mob that like comes creeping out of the woods, or some crazy big monster that you catch while you're fishing. And then as you level it up even more, there could be like a dragon that spawns. It's a world boss that can test your nodes. So there's all kinds of cool world events that happen like that whenever nodes are being leveled up. And then there's also quests that unlock and all kinds of other things that unlock that aren't available previously until you level up that specific node. So the nodes are very dynamic. They work with the world, and that's kind of the major driving point of the entire game, is just working up these nodes, leveling up these nodes. And then as you level up a metropolis, that metropolis's area of influence, or not the metropolis, but the node's area of influence becomes bigger and bigger as it gets to the metropolis level. So then the other nodes cannot level up enough to have enough room to grow to form a metropolis.
Yeah, that way that they're performing, again, back to the point of having like a limited amount of nodes be able to progress to the metropolis stage. That to me is extremely exciting from a gameplay standpoint, having that conflict. And they've mentioned that there's the different quest system tied to each, and we're going to talk a little bit about the races later. When a different race or a different race is the leading contributor of a node, different quests will form, different visual influences will occur. And dude, I'm extremely excited about the node system and what we know about it so far, because there just seems to be so much to it. And this is just like the base of the game, man. We haven't even touched the surface of the content or anything in there.
Yeah, it's incredibly in-depth, man. The node system and the way it works is so dynamic, and the way mobs spawn and they can test your area and all of that stuff that happens is really, really cool, man. And I love that aspect of the game. So this is more meant to be kind of an overview of what the node system is and kind of get us introduced into Ashes. We had some people in chat earlier saying that they didn't really know much about the game and they were here to learn about the game. So that's kind of an introduction into it. And as we record more episodes, I think we'll kind of go more in depth on some of these mechanics, but we just kind of wanted to go over what it is. And dude, my overall thoughts on this whole system, dude, amazing. Like that's one of the things that drew me to Ashes of Creation in the first place. Is this whole node system is absolutely awesome, man.
Yes, and so we'll progress to races. Now, races do have a lot to do with nodes. We're going to kind of go over a brief interview of the 9 races that are currently announced for Ashes of Creation, and kind of how their, how their backstory and their artistic influence will be in the game, and we can kind of draw some, or start to draw some conclusions, and maybe even consider what these nodes are going to look like when they're under the influence or under the the control of a human race versus a dwarven race, and the different dwarves and different elves. So it's going to be cool, man. It seems like this game will just be ripe with, like, even if one of the zones gets to a metropolis under a certain like scientific or economic standpoint, but it seems like even if there's just a change in the leading contributing race, there's going to be something completely different to experience. So it's going to be crazy to see how dynamic this world becomes and is when the game launches. So, Bordy, there are 9 different races in Ashes of Creation. There are 2 human races, 2 dwarven races, 2 orc races, 2 elves races, and then there is the Tolnar, which is like a sort of a little bit of a hybrid race, which basically allows the person or the player that's creating the character to kind of make some choices on what the appearance of the race will be. So let's start in here with the Ayla, or the Ayla humans. So this race is split into 2 different races. I'm about to butcher the living pee out of these these race names. So forgive me if any of you know the actual pronunciation of these races. But first is the Kalar, which are playable Ayla humans. So basically, the Kalar is like your high human race. They're kind of built under the the civilization type thing. A lot of their like influence and everything is going to be based on order, and what seems to be like extremely loyal, and all of these things that kind of give you that feel of like an empire, like a Roman Empire type of thing. So they will have obviously a human race dedicated to this, and the second human race available is the Valoon, which is basically your blue collar race. So you have like the high collar, the highbrow humans in the Kalar, and then you have the Valoon, which are like hard workers. They're born in the desert. Interestingly enough, this appears to be the wealthiest of the 2 human empires, or the 2 human races. But they are more of a, you get one of the quotes that I saw when they're describing this race is like the blade that bends but does not break. So they do kind of present that hardworking mentality, and they're desert dwellers. And, it's just interesting to see, again, or think about even just between these 2 races, Bordy, of humans, how different these nodes are going to look like when they're in control of them.
Yeah, that's what's exciting, man. Like the quest lines and the things that are going to happen whenever all the races come into play, dude, it's going to be dope.
So now we have the 2 dwarven races, and this is like, I can already see like the accent lines over these words. This is not going to be good. The Dunsikel, which are the dwarves of Ashes of Creation. That was probably completely wrong. Hey, man, do you speak German? Because this is what it seems to be.
Hey, that was good. That was a good attempt.
Hey, man. Okay, so Dunar is the dwarven race that is I would say, typically what most people think of when they're playing MMOs of dwarves. They're stoic, traditional, and they are mountain dwellers. So as you would think, in most dwarves, they are blacksmiths. They also do a lot of jewelry crafting. They're known for the strength of their war hammers that never break, is one of the quotes that I saw. They're very stout, and they are the strongest warriors that the world has ever known. So you get that feel of your Lord of the Rings, of your, World of Warcraft, all of the lore that's surrounding dwarves. It seems like the Dunar are kind of in that vein.
Yeah, it sounds like me, dude. Strongest warrior the world has ever known. Pretty close description.
I mean, dude, you're... first off, I would say this is the opposite of you.
Wait, what?
I think you're 6'3" last time I knew. And the strongest warrior in the world. I'm not sure anybody has ever said, other than yourself. has said
What
that
do you
about me.
mean? What does my height have anything to do with my warrior ability, dude?
These are dwarfs, man.
So
The second dwarven race is the Nakua, and I really like the differentiation between these two dwarven races. These guys are island dwellers or islanders, man. If you want to go ahead and say that because it's a real word, family, freedom, and courage. The Nakua kind of they paint this picture that they kind of felt like the caves were a trap or like some sort of prison, so they escaped the caves and now are oceanic type of people, and some of the screenshots about these dwarves are really, really cool, man. And if we're mentioning the boons of the Waveborn, that package is centered around their culture. So it's pretty cool, man, that they're featuring this dwarven race in this package, and to kind of get that vibe of, this is very untraditional as far as dwarven lore goes. So what do you think about the Nakua?
dude, I like it, man. I like the Dunar a little bit better because I'm gonna be a strong warrior in the game. You know what I mean?
Are you gonna go down
absolutely.
that?
I don't know. I don't know, dude. Either that or an orc, probably. But I think that what's cool to me is that they have. I like the division between the races that they have going on here. Like they have one side and then the other of each race that's happening, and it just provides diversity and more choice within what you have to choose with your races. So I like it, man. As far as the Nakua goes, whatever, man. I'm not, whatever, dude. I'm not too good about it. It says the Nakua see crafting is a rite of passage, man. Like, not too interested in that. I just want to go bash skulls.
Okay, so yeah. I mean, listen, man, these seem to be like very, they seem to be more intellectually evolved than the Dunar. So you're right, man. You need to stay away from the Nakua.
Maybe I should be a hybrid.
Huh?
I should be like a hybrid of some sort, man, because intellect plus strength, dude, that equals me. Right?
The next race in Ashes of Creation are the Orcs. So we have two type of Orcs, just like the other races. One is the Renkai. Now, dude, I have a buddy. I don't know if he's still in chat or not, but dude, this Orc is your epitome, honor, power, and tranquility. Maybe not tranquility. He would not use that. So it's interesting they use that term to kind of describe the Orcs here. But through staying centered, their powers only grow. The Renkai believe in ultimate focus and controlling their immense power. When the Renkai becomes enraged, though, there aren't many men or beasts that can live to tell the tale. So this is your not stereotypical, because, a lot of games approach orcs in a different way, but this seems to be like your brute force type of orc, man. And a lot like the Dunar, it seems like these are going to make very good, plate-wearing melee characters.
Apparently they do a lot of meditation, dude. Like some sort of meditating orc. That's what I'm gathering from that.
Yeah,
they're staying centered.
So interestingly enough, the package, or if you guys go over to ashesofcreation.com, the package right before the Boon of the Waveborn was a Renkai package. So you got to see they look like swamp dwellers. They have a very like tribal or nature type of appeal or artistic design to them. It's pretty dope, man. The orc look cool. And this first orc race is definitely something I can get behind if you're playing, like a ranger or some kind of brute force warrior. The second
Dunar, man.
What?
Nothing.
Dunar? What did I say?
They can kill a Renkai. That's what's happening.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see about that. It depends on who's controlling it, I think, probably.
I mean, if it was me against you and I was a Dunar and you're a Renkai, then of course.
We'll just, for the sake of time, we like to keep these podcasts nice and informational. Well, I might edit that out, Bordy. Vek are a playable... Okay, so the Vek are the second orc race. So these guys are focused on... This is pretty cool, man, and this kind of hints at some of the features in the game. Celestial, purpose, and faith. So these are stargazers. It seems like they believe in like astrology and stuff like that to kind of center their purpose behind. They mentioned in the description here that their racials might include like some sort of navigation or open sea navigation, or they might be better sailors than most. So it's interesting to see when you think about the racials of these different races and how different they are from each other. it'll be kind of cool to see what they kind of line out here as far as racial traits. So great leaders read the heavens and how wars will go. So these are kind of seem like they give off a little bit of a shaman vibe to me, right, Bordy?
Yeah, it seems like that, man. And I think you're spot on, dude. Like, look at the difference between the Renkai and the Vec right here, man. They're both orcs, but two completely different ways of playing the game, probably, I would imagine, with these two races.
Yeah, and it'll be cool, man, because I do like diversity. That's one of the things that Ashes of Creation really pulled me in with, is the fact that, all of these racial choices and as we cover in a later episode, the class choices, I mean, there's literally like 64 different subclasses in the game. And so when you think about combining these, the heritage of these different races, and these are very well fleshed out, when you combine that with the lore or the background of all of these different subclasses, dude, I can really get into that because I really like, as a player, I don't get into like role play or anything like that, but I do like to have like a unique character that I can kind of like, relate to and kind of get behind as I develop and level up and gear up and stuff. It's nice to feel some sort of identity with your character, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Couldn't agree more.
All right, so next and final or little race or sub-race that we're talking about are the elves. So there's two different types of elves. The first one is the Empyrean elf. So the Empyrean elf is your imperial pride culture. These are the words that they kind of use to describe these. So these are like your high elf that we traditionally see in most MMOs. They're a force to be reckoned with. They're elite military force and highly structured government. The people of Imperia surely have a plan to carve their place in the world. So as we read the lore here, or these bits of lore, you can kind of tell that all of these races are kind of vying to be the top empire, the top race. So that kind of lines out with the node system, right? How the leading producer or the leading contributor to each node will start to show the influence with the visuals and stuff. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the node system that's absolutely awesome to me, is that it ties in to the races of the game as well, which is the way the dynamic aspect of this game is awesome. I mean, everything they're doing to tie in these things is really, really cool, and I really like that.
So the second elfin race is the Pyre. So, and again, like I'm completely murdering these words.
What? Say it again.
Pyre.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like
maybe.
Yeah, maybe not. You know what I mean? I'm sure we'll know about it after we post this episode, though. I'm almost confident of that. Nature, balance, and fury. All things come to balance in time, and nature always has her way. Don't let the loved ones for nature. Don't let their love for nature fool you, though. These are like a very tribal, like bow and spear based race. They seem to be some sort of primal influence there. So Bordy, this is kind of like the wood elf. I hate to these are very unique races that are well thought out. I hate to just throw an umbrella term over them, but this appears to be more along the lines of like your nature driven elves, like your wood elf type people.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It definitely seems like it's going down that path. So not my jam. I'm out.
I mean, I can get behind a good elven ranger. You know what I'm saying?
Just not a fan of elves,
and
man.
I love spears, dude. The fact that it says spear in the description, dude, I want a spear. I've always wanted, I don't know why, but I've always leaned towards like a two-handed staff or spear or pull arm combat.
It's an awful weapon, dude. That just means you're scared. You're scared to get in the fray.
If you're going to be some sort of dwarven warrior, by the time you reach my character, you'll have a couple spears in your eyeballs, okay?
No way, dude. You won't be able to hit me.
Dude,
no.
Yeah.
I'll grab that spear and break it in half over my dwarven leg, dude. That's what's happening, man. Your little elven spear is not going to do anything to me. What do you mean?
Listen, man. We'll see. I mean, I like to think we're probably going to be on the same team, but maybe after these podcasts and the game finally launches, we're going to hate each other. You know what I mean? We might not want to be on the same team.
I mean, are we going to be able to duel?
I hope. Yeah. He's mentioned that, dude. We're duel. We have a long history of dueling, so it's gonna be fun. I can't wait to duel you in this game and, murder you with the spear.
Okay.
So the last race is the 9th race, and this one's pretty cool, man. Very unique. The Tolnar. So the Tolnar is a playable race, and it's very undefined. they mentioned that this is going to be one of the races that whoever creates this race as their character is going to have a lot of choices to make, because it seems to be more like of your variation of different animals in the game. So you can make it look more reptilian or more like a mammal, or they mention a different different influences where, like, if you go down the mammal path, you'll be able to have like a snout or fur, or like inverted knees like a werewolf. Where if you're doing like the reptilian Tolnar, you'll be able to have like lizard eyes and like scales and stuff like that. So dude, this is pretty dope. I mean, I'm not sure how can you this will be interesting to see, will the racials of this class be affected by the way you create your character? Or do you think all Tolnar will have the same racial features?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an incredibly interesting take on a race. I don't know, man. It says that. So what I find funny is that I've seen somewhere that it says that the Tolnar eat many things, and I just think that's funny, man. There's just some kind of hybrid weird thing going on there. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of the Tolnar, to be honest with you. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, though.
Yeah, dude, I'm really excited to see, the different variations of this race. It's pretty unique, the description was, and it kind of I don't really tend to like your your typical animal influenced races, but dude, the variation here will be interesting or cool to see as the different characters create, or different players create their characters within the Tolnar race. How unique and different these races will become.
I mean, I'm just thinking the Tolnar are going to be crazy, because what if they eat elves or dwarves? It says they eat many things.
Yo,
man.
dude, here's another thing to think about. If these nodes are influenced by the race that owns them, you would think like a mammal versus a reptile, these are going to look a little bit different. It'll be cool to see if they do really dive deep into there. And then how are they can they really do that? Because dude, that would be really how would you know if there's more reptilian Tolnar making influence in a node than the mammal Tolnar? You know what I mean? Maybe they just general animal themed housing and stuff like that.
Yeah, it would have to be, man. I don't know that it can be that crazy.
I mean, it's already pretty crazy.
It is. We'll see. I hope it delivers. I mean, all the stuff we're talking about is pretty lofty, man. So we'll see. I think Steven's on top of his game, though. So
yeah, that's
what happens.
As you listen to that guy talk, man, he really does have a vision for this game, and that is one of the most powerful things that you can have when you're developing a game. A vision that's tight and that you're pushing towards a goal, because you can hit goals, right? But you can't just say, we'd like to do this and that, and then not have any vision for what you're trying to do. And a lot of games get trapped. And they have what's called, what is it? It's feature creep.
Feature creep.
There we go.
Yeah.
Feature creep, where they just keep adding things because they think it'd be really cool to have this. And then a new game comes out and they're like, man, we should add something like that. And then they just keep going and the game never comes out. I'm again not going to throw shade. I could, but I won't. So that's going to do it, man. Do you want to talk to me about the races and the nodes? We kind of talked about it as we went, what each node's going to be like as these, the Dunar versus whatever the Vec or the Empyrean. It's going to be cool to see how these nodes change appearance as different races own them. Yeah,
I mean, that part of the game is going to be crazy to me, and I think that it influences the quest lines too, right?
Yeah, the different, you'll see a different what quests and world, maybe even world bosses and all of that stuff happen under the different influence of these things as well. To my understanding, again, the node, it's hard to break down the node thing and talk about it in one episode. We tried to just briefly cover it for you guys so you had an idea of what they're trying to do here with the races and nodes. But I mean, it's gonna be crazy as we get more information about these things, how in-depth these things will be, and I want to see it, man. I want to see it happen.
Have we ever seen an MMO that's tried to be this dynamic with what they're doing? With races affecting quest lines and the way that the node progresses affecting what boss mobs spawn and building up a metropolis, and that affects the entire server, and every server is going to be completely different because of the decisions that players make. Have we ever seen an MMO that is this dynamic? And do you think that Ashes of Creation will deliver on all of this stuff, because this, in all honesty, man, this is pretty lofty. I mean, what they're wanting to do with this game is incredibly ambitious.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, man, and this will kind of sum up the episode for us, as this is our first episode. I think that they're trying to push the genre forward. That's the whole goal behind Ashes of Creation, right? They're trying to push this genre forward, and you can't push it forward with like lukewarm ideas or things that people have already done, right? Everybody's seen the Holy Trinity, and they have mentioned that they're going to keep that in the game, and that's something that works, and everybody knows it works. But it would just be, it wouldn't serve them right to try to approach everything like to try to make a WoW clone or another like traditional theme park MMO because tons of people have tried that already, Bordy. You know what I mean? Tons of people have tried that and failed, and I like that they're trying something lofty because, we need that. I think as MMO players, everybody is very hungry for a new game that's going to provide things they've never seen before, and I think Ashes of Creation is trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too, but the question is, do you think that they'll succeed in bringing us all these things?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I
agree. Yeah, I agree because of the guy behind it. I mean, whenever you listen to Steven talk, man, it blows my mind that he is so dedicated and passionate about this game, and he knows exactly. He has in his mind the vision that he wants to see realized with this game 100%, and it's encouraging. Every time I hear the guy talk, it's like, man, he knows what he wants, and he's gonna get it. That's the feeling I get anyway.
One thing too that I kind of a little bit understated, as he's kind of the face of the company and goes out and does these interviews on Twitch and stuff. He is smart enough to surround himself with people that know how to execute. There's a lot. He's got a lot of veterans within the MMO community and the history of development of MMOs around him, and I think he's wise enough at this point to listen to those people. And I think that they're obviously working for him, so they're going to try to deliver on whatever his vision is. But I think he's also put a lot of people around him that are going to help him achieve that vision. So those are the main reasons why I think that they are going to pull this off. Will it come out at the end of the year this year? Probably not, obviously. Will it come out next year? Maybe. We don't know. They've progressed awfully fast to this Alpha 1 state, I think, and we'll see, man. We'll see how this plays out. But again, I think he's taking a firm stance on not adding anything more than they've already kind of announced. So hopefully they can get this stuff done, get it tested, and next year maybe we'll know when this game's going to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have faith that it's going to, man. I have faith that they're going to deliver on everything they've said. It's incredibly lofty, and I hope they do, because it's going to be an amazing MMO whenever that day comes.
Yeah, for sure, man. And we're in it for the long haul. We're excited to be with you guys on the first ever episode of Ashes to Go. Sorry, we have a website dedicated to Ashes as well called Ashes Fans over at studioloot.com. So go check that out. We will be posting VODs of the podcast over there, as well as new information about the game as we get it. We'll be creating web-based content over there as well. Studioloot.com. Also, follow that account on Twitter. That's how you'll know when we're going to go live with Ashes Fans, another episode of Ashes Fans. So we're using one account.
Ashes to Go.
Yeah. Ashes to Go. My gosh. You just go to the Studio Loot Twitter, and someone more intelligent than me will be announcing things that happen, and one of those things is the podcast. LOL. Yeah, for audio listeners will have no idea what happened. So, Bordy, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, man. You can find me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/BDLG. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/thebdlg. I had to go with a the in front because I couldn't get BDLG. And then on YouTube is youtube.com/thebdlg as well. We'll be creating content over Ashes on YouTube. And then obviously we'll be streaming a lot of Ashes whenever it releases or is available to be able to be streamed. And then, of course, creating a lot of content over at studioloot.com, which ties into Ashes Fans and the other MMOs that we cover.
Listen, man, he's lying about the part. He's extremely arrogant, man. He's hard to work with. I should get a medal for constantly recording podcasts with this guy.
Yo, dude, I am.
Yeah, I just want to put that on record. We've already thrown down on this podcast. We got to start on the right foot, dude. And I'm serious. I mean, by the time this game comes out, dude, we'll be like arch enemies. You know what I mean?
It's fine, dude.
Me and you will be.
You're going to regret.
No, man.
dude. You're gonna get worked.
No, man, because I'm gonna take chat with me, and we'll all gang up on you, dude. We'll zerg you down. No problem.
I'm a one-man army. That's what it takes for you to kill me. Is you just admitted it on air, dude. I'm glad you did that finally.
Oh my gosh, I'll find a way to duel you now somehow. I'm Redbird with a Y. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube under the same name. Guys, we are extremely excited about Ashes. Again, go check out studioloot.com. We'll have web-based content for you there, as well as the podcast every week. Next week, we look forward to recording another episode with you guys, and we'll be announcing the topics and stuff as we go on the week as the episode gets closer. So thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you on another episode of Ashes to Go.